Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. Today, we're going to be ranking everything added in Minecraft 1.21.4. Now, obviously, we're not going to be doing every item. For example, the Pale Oak wood set, it works mainly like every other wood set. So I'm just going to cover the wood set in general. And same with resin blocks. I'm not going to cover the slab, stairs, and walls, because once again, they work like every other walls, it's just the texture. But as you can see, there's not that many items to go through, so let's jump straight to it. So let's start with the Pale Oak wood set. Now, the Pale Oak wood set, I like the texture of. It's a cool texture. It's once again got that tint to it, which Minecraft seems to do with most wood sets, where they don't just keep it an ordinary color, they also add like a secondary tint to. Now, as for the Pale Oak wood set, is it one of the best wood sets? I would say it's up there for one of the best looking wood sets. So I'm going to rank this quite high, but I don't think it's quite the best. I would say it's probably around here. There's no item frames here. I wouldn't say it deserves the top slot, so I'm probably going to put it maybe in the yellow. I would say it's a decent wood set. I like the color and look of it, but I definitely don't think it deserves to be up any higher. The log isn't just a copy and paste of the oak, and although it is called the Pale Oak wood set, the dark oak wood set is once again just a darkened version of oak, whereas the pale oak has some difference in texture. Now let's cover the resin blocks. So first, let's cover the resin bricks. The resin bricks don't have any other use apart from decoration. They work exactly like most other bricks. They can be broken with a pickaxe. And I'm not gonna lie, the texture of them is quite vibrant orange, which there's not that many other orange blocks they go with. I think they suit quite well with acacia blocks, where they are very different in texture. And it does also work quite well with red sand or red sandstone, but once again there is quite a difference in colour. I see these blocks being used quite regularly. It's not got any really good game breaking additions to it, so once again I think it deserves the same as pale oak. Now the block of resin, this has a unique function to it, and this is the ability to be able to insta-mine it. Now this is going to be really useful because this is the first insta-mine block that doesn't have any other use. So some of the others is slime, but when you jump on slime, it kind of slows the player down and bounces you, meaning if you wanted to scaffold with this, it's kind of annoying. Another insta break is honey blocks, but once again, you can't jump on these. And then one of the other insta breaks is TNT. There's always a chance it could explode. So the resin block is the first block that can be insta-mined that doesn't have any effect on the player, and I think that is really cool. It's also really easy to obtain if you have yourself a resin farm, which they're not that complicated to make. So I think that deserves to go one up from the other two. And then the chiseled resin, which works exactly like the bricks. They don't have any other function apart from decoration. I like the texture of this. I like the fact there's like a creaking head popping through and it looks like the bricks have kind of shattered where the creaking head is. I really do like the look of that. So I don't think this deserves the same level as resin. Maybe let's actually put that there. And let's move the resin bricks down, as I definitely think the chiseled resin looks better than the bricks. So first of all, the leaves. Now, the reason I'm ranking the leaves separately to the wood set is just because these do play particles when they are placed down. As you can see, there is a random chance they can let off these leaf particles, which this is the second leaf that does this. The cherry leaf is the only other leaf that plays particles, and one thing I like about the pale oak leaves, the leaves are not as in your face. You can see one leaf falls every few seconds, whereas the cherry leaves, they're constantly falling. I like the pale oak leaves better, just because the leaves are not as noticeable, but they're noticeable enough that it makes a difference. So I think once again, the leaves deserve, do they deserve one higher? No, I think they deserve that slot right there. Now the Eyeblossoms. These are two new flowers. They open and close depending on if it's day or night. At night time, they will open, turning into the open variant, and at day, they will close, turn into the closed variant. Now, another thing to note is they communicate with each other, so the more of these that you have around, the quicker they will open or close. And there we go, you can see that right there. Once one closes, they all then start to change. Now, these can also be used inside of a crafting table to make some dyes, and a dye is dependent, so the close gives grey, and the open gives orange. Now, I think this is the first ever flower to give dark grey dye or just grey dye. I think most other flowers in the game give light grey. Now, one change I would have liked to see is the ability for them not to change if maybe clicked with an item or in some way. Because currently, whether you place them down on the floor or if you place them down inside of flower pots, they are going to change variant no matter what. So it kind of makes them hard to decorate with if you have a certain themed build. For example, if you builded like maybe a haunted or dead mansion, these ones don't really suit that theme, but these ones do. And no matter what, at nighttime they're going to open. So the fact that you can't stop them from changing, it does bring them down in ranking a little bit. But everything else about them is really cool. I love that we have a flower that changes depending on day or night. It does also create for some really cool redstone, because they can be detected by observers. I think they're going to go here. They would go in the best slot, the very top one, if there was a way to stop them from changing. But I think they're going to go in that slot right there. Now, let's quickly just cover the resin clump and the resin brick. Now, the resin clump I like because it's another block that can be placed on any face as long as the face is solid. It's kind of like how glow lichen works. And it's the first block that doesn't give off a light level or change in any way. So you can use it in quite a few different ways. And another thing to note about it, it does also stop water. So you can use it to stop like bubble elevators from outflowing. It can also be waterlogged as well, as you can see right there. So if you want to put water inside of the block, that is something you can also do. It's also gotten in a unique way. It's obviously gotten by punching a creaking and it spreads around the heart. So I think this is going to go up here with the others. So I think it deserves that slot right there. Now the resin brick. The resin brick is used to craft the brick blocks. It's also used to make a new smithing material. So let's quickly just show that. If I grab everything we need for this, let's grab the silence armor trim. But it does look really cool. Now that does bring it up slightly. Now the fact that you can make a really bright orange does bring it up. But I don't like the idea of it. The item is very useless. The brick block right here is gotten from smelting 4 resin clumps and then crafting them 4 resin clumps like that in a crafting table. That is kind of pointless. You could have just had it so players smelted the main block to get the resin brick. So for that, it's going to go here. If it wasn't using the material, it would probably go even lower. So first of all, the pale moss block. This works exactly like the ordinary moss block. The only difference in it is texture. You can bone meal this if I quickly just grab some bone meal, and it will spread to surrounding blocks as long as they are within the block tag, which is just natural stones, grass, dirt, and things like that. There's no other use for this, I don't think. Now, the texture of it is really cool because once again, you can make kind of dead, overgrown areas using it. It would be one lower if the texture of it wasn't so cool, but the grey texture is definitely something that would fit in quite a lot of builds. The pale hanging moss I really like. First of all, there's a unique feature with this where if it's placed on pale oak leaves or pale oak logs, then there is a chance it can play a sound effect. And this sound effect will be randomly played. It comes in the subtitles as eerie noise. So this is something you can move to your base and use inside of your base if you want that eerie noise sound. Now, also, this cannot be climbed, so I also like that because a lot of other vines in the game have that collision where if you go in them, you kind of jump and climb them. And also, it doesn't naturally grow. So once you place it down, however you place it is exactly how it stays. So because this has a unique feature, I think it deserves this slot right here. It don't quite deserve the same as up there. Now, the pale carpet. This works exactly like the moss carpet, but it does have one cool function. And that is the ability that it climbs up blocks around it. This happens on all 4 sides, and it can also climb up a second block if bone mealed. Now, one thing that does bring this carpet down is you can break the top block to make it go back to 1 high, but there is no way to stop it climbing up the side of a block. If there is a block on its side, it will always climb that block. It would have been cool if you could maybe shear it with a pair of shears, and that would then stop it from climbing up, but there is no way to do that. So it is kind of limiting in that factor, and that does slightly bring it down in ranking. So it would have probably been on level with the pale moss, but because you can't stop it from climbing up a block, I think it's going to go with the pale moss. Now the final 2 things is the creaking and the creaking heart. Now let's cover the creaking first. The creaking is a new mob which obviously looks like this. It works kind of the reverse to an enderman, where once you look at it, it will stop moving. It only does this in survival mode though. and this mob cannot be damaged. They also only spawn at night time. Now, once again, if I punch this mob, that is how you get resin, and it also sends particles to the Creaking heart. And to kill this mob, you have to break its heart, which you can then see it twitches and then it dies or vanishes. So that is really cool and unique because once again, no other mob is like that. Every other mob you have to kill. The closest we have to a mob that you can't damage is the Wither when it's in its invulnerable state, but that only happens when you first spawn it. So because the Creaking is very cool, I think it deserves very high up. Now, the Creaking does have quite a lot of feedback people have given. The few that I'm going to mention is it needs to deal more damage, and also it needs to be not as cheesable, because currently you can just build up and avoid the Creaking. And although I think it would have been cool if it had some kind of digging under the ground and attacking the player, it's not meant to be a very threatening, hostile mob. I think it's just meant to be that weird mob that follows you around while you're exploring. But once again, it is a very unique mob, so I think it does deserve to be the very top. Now let's rank the Creaking heart. The Creaking heart is once again a cool block. It only turns orange when there is a pale oak block above and below. So if I quickly just move that one with a piston, you can see it turns off. You can also use this in some kind of redstone clock where you obviously have this moved every now and again. And also it is directional. So if I quickly just grab it and place it like that, you can also see it does rotate the texture. And if it's rotated, it checks for a pale oak block at each end, rather than at the top and bottom. It checks for it in the left and right. And that's the same if it was placed in this axis as well. If I quickly just show you, if I try to place pale oak blocks there and there, it doesn't activate. And the same if I place them there and there. So that is also cool because it creates for some cool redstone as well as decorative builds. Now if you break this block inside of a pale garden, it does drop some XP upon breaking it, but that's only for the first ever time you do destroy it. And it can also be used in resin farms, which does also bring it up in ranking as well. I think I'm probably going to rank it there. It doesn't quite deserve the same as the Creaking because it's only a block. And aside from spawning the Creaking, it does have some redstone uses, but it don't have any other functional uses. And with that being said, that is everything for the 1.21.4 update. Once again, this was only meant to be a small drop. This is not a major update, as Minecraft have now changed how they are doing updates. And looking at the board, is there anything I want to change last minute? I don't think so. I think I'm happy with that ranking. Now, once again, this is my opinion, and your ranking board might look completely different. But anyway, if you did enjoy, do like and subscribe, and I guess I'll see you guys in another one very soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.